The one and only Multiverse presents a grand unified theory. Quantum fields of atoms. Left, Hans Geiger, 1882–1945, age 63. Ernest Rutherford, 1871–1937, age 66. Alpha particle, 2 protons, 2 neutrons. A helium atom nucleus. What has 79 protons and 118 neutrons? A gold atomic nucleus. Web page and video is not AI generated. Your host, Richard E. Noer. Gold foil experiment. If you take a chunk of gold and put it between 2 strips of leather, then pound it repeatedly with a mallet, the gold flattens horizontally and increases laterally. If you separate the flattened gold and place them between more leather strips, then repeat the process over and over, you get progressively thinner and thinner strips of gold. It is possible to repeat this process until the gold is as thin as 2 atomic planes. Bear in mind you still have pure metallic gold and all its properties and quantum fields, with no space between atoms. Now if you shoot alpha particles, helium nuclei, at the gold foil, most will go right through, but, on rare occasions, some will be deflected on different trajectories. In an extreme instance, a few will be bounced right back. What's going on? How is this happening? B. It's all because of the large nucleus of gold and its vast quantum fields. The gold atomic core can deflect alpha particles, but only on rare occasions when the particle is on a direct collision course with the nucleus. Most of the alpha particles miss the core and pass right through the huge expanse of quantum fields. These fields are entangled but have little restriction for alpha particles because they have a neutral charge. The particles are not traveling in a void. They are navigating through a complex quantum field construction of universal particles and magnetic space. Don't forget that alpha particles are much larger with more density, and composed of the very same particles that make quantum fields, dark matter particles. The alpha particles are SML protons and neutrons bonded together by magnetism and has no electrical charge. It's like a big neutron. TM believes that this experiment proves beyond any doubt the nucleus of an atom, the vastness of quantum fields, and the opaque entanglement of linked gold atoms. Final question: if alpha particles can zip through quantum fields of gold, why can't light? Great question. It is because of quantum field SML and configuration of the gold atom. It does not pass vibrating wave energy of the light spectrum. The unique element fields of atoms. Torus and ring fields. Quantum fields, dark matter interacting fields, rotating and spinning bodies in dark matter are the things that create quantum fields. At the basic level, there is a proton, with or without a neutron. When it spins, it produces swirling particle currents of dark matter that radiate outward from the structure. There are 2 types of these fields: torus strings with axis alignment, and horizontal ringed planes with a spinning nucleus. Both the torus and ring fields have spin energy as well as magnetic flow energy. B. Polar torus fields are produced by the spinning motion of a structure's axis. It creates a one-way spatial magnetic flow from pole to pole, internal and external. Ring fields are produced by the magnetic attraction of a body's spinning nucleus. The rotating proton-neutron center creates a horizontal radius of swirling dark matter string fields that spin outward and form stacked ring planes. C. An electron is a spinning body, and resides orbiting in the ring fields of atoms, not in the torus fields. The electron also has few, if any, quantum fields because it is in fast orbital motion in the proton's ring structure. D. Finally, not only do outer ring fields present an orbital path for electrons, but the electrons can, and do, quickly move between stacked outer ring planes of bonded atoms. When this happens, the atom's vibration may interrupt its oscillating frequency. Magnetic torus fields. 1. Metallic quantum torus fields. 2. Black stars and their polar torus fields. Picture 1. A bar magnet. If you think this is a bar magnet under a piece of paper with sprinkled iron filings on top, you are right. The lines that have formed on the paper have been called lines of flux, or magnetic flux lines. TM says, yes, these are magnetic, but they are really dark matter torus strings, and they are emanating from the iron bar underneath. How and why this happens has an explanation, but there is much more going on than people realize. First of all, we don't call them flux lines. That's just too vague, and doesn't convey their true existence and function. TM calls them quantum metallic torus string fields. This is a more comprehensive description and better describes their existence and function. These torus fields are so strong they radiate from their iron atoms for quite a distance in surrounding dark matter space. Now for something remarkable, your fingers can pass right through these strong quantum fields and pick up the iron bar. What? How can this be? It is because the torus magnetic field structure of iron doesn't match up with the torus magnetic field structure of your fingers, it passes right through them with no magnetic interaction. Now if you had an iron ring on, the quantum fields would definitely interact. This is because the field spacing is the same for the ring and the bar, but not your fingers. See, we are not done yet. As you move your fingers closer to the bar, quantum fields in both the iron bar and your fingers consolidate and intensify. Eventually they will interact and you will be able to feel the bar and pick it up. You are not picking up the nuclei of iron, you are picking up its quantum fields, and the quantum fields are picking up the iron atoms of the bar. This all happens because of the qualities of magnetism. Iron is not the only thing that creates this force. Magnetism is created by all spinning particles in the polarized medium of dark matter, and its compacting quantum fields, even the magnetic fields in your fingers. Picture 2. Merging black stars. Lastly, torus magnetic fields and black stars. Look familiar? The extreme magnetic attraction force of dark matter particles, in a pole-to-pole torus configuration. This is how black stars synchronize and merge without exploding. It is the same way magnets do. The lines of flux with their magnetic spin, and flowing gravity currents, along with centrifugal force, and XCP dark energy, will merge the two stars, that is, if they both have the same DMI. Magnetic ring fields. A glass rod with a deficit of electrons in its ring fields. The water is not physically touching the rod, but as you can see, it's bending. A glass rod, silicone, also has magnetic quantum fields. You don't notice them because they are weaker in dark matter, and don't interact with iron filings. Now it gets interesting. If you sweep away the glass rod's outer quantum ring fields and its electrons by rubbing it with a cloth or fur, then move it closer to the water stream, outer quantum magnetic force will attract the moving water and change its trajectory. On the other hand, if you move the glass rod to a very close proximity with iron magnetic fields, there will be no attraction, repulsion force. This is because the magnetic ring fields of iron atoms have distinct quantum intervals, and are in a different plane. The glass rod doesn't have any of these organized metallic ring fields with the right matching intervals and planes. It's like trying to merge two combs, with different spacing of their teeth. TM predicts, at the subatomic level, if you move silicon atoms close enough to iron atoms, matching their quantum field density, there will eventually be an attraction-repulsion force. This is because the quantum magnetic intervals intensify and consolidate as you get closer to an atomic nucleus. If you find just the right distance, they may form a weak bond, but they won't be able to share electrons, even if quantum intervals can intermix. This is because the elements don't share the same quantum steps that accommodate electrons. I use silicon to illustrate a concept, but, to be more accurate I should use cobalt. This is because cobalt quantum fields have similar ring field intervals with iron, and would lock closer together easily, and be able to share electrons. On the other hand, the glass rod of silicon has fewer, wider intervals of magnetic ring fields, thus creating much less of an attraction-repulsion force, along with a mismatch of electron orbits. An insulator. Magnetic fields of copper and iron. Are you ready for this? It is another prediction of TM theory that fits with all we know. TM is predicting, if you forcibly move magnetized iron torus fields through copper ring fields in a wire, you can displace the electrons from their orbits in the wire, thus creating a current of electrons between copper atoms. What? Say that again. That's right, it is the quantum magnetic force difference between the iron torus fields, pole-to-pole chains, and copper ring fields, that makes this event happen. The displacement force can be either attraction or repulsion, depending on the movement of the iron torus fields. This in turn is what produces movement of the copper electrons. At the very basic level, it is the force of CW and CCW magnetic torus strings, and stacked ring planes, and their complex interactions that produces electricity. As long as I have been alive, it has never to my knowledge, been adequately explained how electricity becomes a force. TM says, it is all possible because of magnetism, the flowing magnetic force, and torus, ring fields. The movement of matter and its magnetic spatial force. See what can happen when you use all the tools of discovery, not just one. Quantum field explanations. All universal particles, protons, electrons, and atomic nuclei are spinning, but there is one exception, not in the center of a black star. Top view, proton torus fields, no ring fields. Top view, spinning torus proton with open polar torus fields. Top view, single atomic plane with center proton and quantum ring fields. Top view, spinning proton torus structure, and layered quantum ring fields. Top view, two atoms bonding ring fields, stacked together. 1. Quantum fields, rotating and spinning magnetic field, structures. There are two types, polar torus fields with particle chains, and stacked ringed planes with a nucleus. Both the torus and ring structures have spin energy as well as magnetic flow energy. A. The proton is a closed horn torus structure, but, because it spins, it creates polar and radius dark matter quantum fields. B. An electron is also a closed horn torus structure and resides orbiting in the ring fields of protons and atoms, not in any of the proton's torus fields. It would also create small quantum fields, if it were not zipping about so fast. 2. Neutron-proton coupling. When the proton and neutron link together there is no more individual particle rotating going on, they now spin together. B. What is remarkable about this is, torus and ring fields now form around the spinning duo. Atomic core spin, thus establishing proprietary quantum fields. 3. Torus fields. In the case of protons, electrons, neutrons, and neutrinos, the closed internal torus fields are looping bonded dark matter particle strings, threads, or rope formations of universal particles, that loop through a center axis. Pole to pole to pole chains. This gives these particles a horn torus structure, therefore, the name of the fields should be torus fields. A. The internal closed torus fields of the proton, all have the same relative spin energy, CW. The closed torus fields of the electron spin CCW. The neutron and neutrino have both CW and CCW closed torus loops. This is what gives these particles their respective charges. B. Structures like atomic nuclei also create torus fields because of their spin energy. In other words, all spinning bodies larger than dark matter particles, because they are surrounded by a spatial medium, they produce whirling torus and ring fields, open and closed with a magnetic streaming spin and flow. The torus field energy is produced by the spinning body's polar axis. These polar fields, once established and extended in surrounding dark matter space, will bend inward seeking closure. This phenomena is what creates the pulling or pushing axis flow for the fields. C. One more important fact about torus fields. They also have a spinning radius magnetic force. In other words, not only do they have a streaming, polar, flowing magnetic spatial force, they also have a spinning, pulling pushing, isolating force between strings. See Encyclopedia 100 for more. 4. Quantum ring fields. Ring fields are produced by a magnetic pull of a body's spinning nucleus and radius in a dark matter medium. Individual universal particles can magnetically bond, pole to pole to pole, and form torus strings of bonded particles. The spinning equators of dark matter particles in the same string don't add particles to the string, but they do influence other particle fields to form chains next to them. B. Now let's scale it up. Spinning element nuclei creates eddy currents in a surrounding spatial medium. This in turn is what produces quantum ring fields. The ring fields are made of universal dark matter particles that are magnetically interacting. There are multiple graduating rings and stacked horizontal planes that get weaker in magnetic strength as you move outward from the core. Each of these multiple ring fields in a single plane has both spin and magnetic flow energy. C. Because the core spinning body is slightly irregular, but is basically round, each ring plane would get smaller as you move toward the poles. This is what produces the different rotational and counter-rotational stacked plane energy. D. In between the outer stacked ring fields is where you find the orbiting electron. E. Now it gets interesting. When atoms bond together, it is the intermixing of each of the atom's stacked ring fields that make the bond. Like merging two combs if they have the same or similar quantum intervals. When this happens, the orbiting electrons can share orbits with other atoms, if the outer ring fields that host electrons, of each dissimilar atom, match up. This changes the magnetic properties of a now combined atomic molecule. Lastly, polarized ring fields also apply to larger bodies, like planets' atmospheres, Saturn's ring planes, galaxies and black stars. 5. Atomic balance. When the atom's core configuration and inner core containment fields reach a mutual balance, the atom will become magnetically locked. This creates a specific blueprint for its quantum ring fields. As the atomic core spins, the intervals and compression energies of these fields will be unique for each element. The overall properties of quantum ring fields remain the same, meaning they will still diminish in intervals and strength as they graduate outwards. The atom structure is magnetically locked with the spinning nucleus, but it can add to its external ring and torus fields when encountering more energies. In other words, it is not a closed system. The addition of energy causes more core contraction and gravity. This increases the number of quantum fields. The electrons then have to rebalance by jumping to different orbits. 6. Atomic gravity. Dark matter particles join the atom's outer quantum ring and torus fields when the gravity of more spin energy attracts them. They are also influenced by magnetic energies and follow the atom's blueprint. With the addition of more spin contraction, pulling energy of the core, magnetic compression of inner ring fields occur. Electrons jump orbits to balance the atomic structure further. When more spin energy is added to the atomic core, it causes the atom to heat up. The outer fields will then increase their numbers of particles and expand, but will gradually loosen their combined magnetic pull. This is because they occupy a much larger space. In other words, they become more fluid, like melting iron. 7. Atomic intermingling. When same or similar elements are forced together by compression or gravity, their outer ring quantum fields will slide in between each other. Intermingle. At some point of penetration, they will become magnetically locked. When this happens, each element will share its blueprint of construction, and may, or may not share electrons. In the case of same elements, they would not change the element's properties, but it would add volume, gravity, and the ability to share electrons. The inner quantum fields of each atom are magnetically dedicated to the core configuration, but the weaker magnetism in outer quantum fields can modify themselves to accommodate different atomic structures. When this happens, molecules and compounds are born. Each new molecule or compound will have its unique blueprint and structure and will have its own characteristics. This is how water, carbon dioxide, hydrocarbons, sodium chloride, etc. are created. Lastly, quantum ring fields of same or similar elements can bond, even if some of the atoms are upside down. Different nucleus rotations. This will affect the formation and intensity of internal, external torus quantum fields of the bonded atoms, like in the phenomena of magnetized and non-magnetized iron. 8. Hydrogen fusion. 1. It is gravity that first attracts primal hydrogen atoms together in dark matter space. Multitudes of hydrogen atoms and their quantum fields gather together and form a huge, and I mean huge, cloud of gas. As the cloud evolves, the whole thing begins to rotate. When this happens, it will set up an internal, external polar gravity, anti-gravity flow. As gravity currents and its dark matter particles travel through the cloud's internal axis, the magnetic flow compresses. 2. When the slow-rotating hydrogen cloud increases spin, the dark energy in gravity currents will also increase. Flowing gravity and dark energy together, will compact the inner hydrogen quantum fields of the cloud. This sets up a barrier between the cloud's inner compression, and the more relaxed perimeter fields. As the revolving gas condenses even more, gravity in perimeter fields increase, but now, the stronger inner dark energy of the cloud's inner quantum fields has also increased spin and density. XCP dark energy. When the supply of exterior hydrogen runs out, the accelerating gas cloud will stop increasing its spin, size, and density. We now have a huge dense ball of hydrogen gas, with a compacted XP dark energy force in the interior, and a pulling gravity current in space that has compacted inner quantum fields of the cloud. 3. The ring quantum fields of hydrogen atoms in the inner dense cloud, now have more potential and less active energy. This phenomenon has become the pushing force of dark energy. 4. The cloud is now a huge ball-like structure with a single pole for gravity, also, an exiting pole of spinning anti-gravity. This creates a unique polar pulling pushing zone in the star's peripheral fields. The cloud has become a protostar. 5. In this new protostar, the zone where the pulling force of gravity on space, and the pushing force of internal dark energy, has created a unique magnetic pulling pushing compacted area of the cloud. The fusion band. This is the only place where fusion of hydrogen atoms can occur. Why? Because hydrogen quantum fields must be able to oscillate between attracting and repelling. This can't happen in the cloud core, because the central region of the protostar is just too compacted to oscillate its dark energy forces. 6. N. This represents a single hydrogen nucleus core ring field with one neutron. P. This represents a single hydrogen core ring field with one proton. 7. The dark energy pressure of the hydrogen quantum fields of the protostar runs into the high external incoming gravity currents, force from space. It is the protostar's pushing force that increases pressure on its hydrogen boundary protons. When the protons adjust into the right pole and plane orientation, the XCP dark energy force of the protostar causes the counter-rotational non-looping fields of some protons through their center axis, thus creating neutrons. These newly formed neutrons are now surrounded by the former proton's decaying quantum ring field. 8. The weaker ring fields of the just created neutron will allow a close proximity proton to enter the area, but it does not get converted because of the bigger relaxed weak charged inner field. These nuclei are now configured, NP. The area has become bigger with a low, but now an increasingly positive charge, so the ring core field of each atom strengthens a little bit. 9. When another proton enters the region, it gets converted because of its charge, along with compression. The nuclei in the core ring field are now configured, NPN. This causes the field to weaken once more. 10. When another proton enters the area, there is no conversion, but the zone becomes more positive. The nucleus in each core ring field is now configured, NPNP. 11. That's it, the inner ring quantum fields of each new atomic structure has become too strong to allow any more penetration, and helium atoms are created. 12. Because the former multiple quantum fields of hydrogen have now condensed into one, there is an enormous energy release of X's particle heat, light and magnetic radiation. A first-generation star has just been created. Perimeter fusion is what produces the high energy release of a new bright shining star that we can all see and enjoy. It's all because of the oscillating, compacting and combining of quantum fields, and their excess particle energy escaping into space. 9. Atomic construction and failure. The nucleus of an atom is what sets the strength and configuration of all its quantum torus and ring fields. If the core fails, like in a neutron breach with core collision, it sets up a chain reaction and the other ring and torus fields will fail as well. If on the other hand, the perimeter fields are swept away, like in high energy encounters, the core field can remain intact, and the atom will not fail. As soon as the atom can, it will rebuild the outer quantum fields. 10. Fission. An atomic fission reaction is the splitting of atomic nuclei and the failure of core ring, torus fields. When this happens, all quantum ring fields break down from the inside out, and the magnetic quantum lock of universal particles in various states of compression will catastrophically expand. This produces a shock wave and enormous amounts of energy because of the huge numbers of dark matter particles in the quantum fields. It can also produce QLBHF particles. The amount of energy release is second only to the energy release of a black star supernova. A fission energy release is much faster than fusion energy. 11. Atomic plasma. Plasma, an amalgamation of dark matter particles with embedded atomic nuclei, plus free protons and electrons, subatomic particles and polarized magnetic currents in a high energy state. B. The surface of the Sun would be a good example. There are lots of magnetic fields, currents along with torus strings, but are not organized into stable, complete, individual structures. All magnetic fields, particles, and energy are in a localized state of flux. 12. Quantum field density and intervals. An extremely small fast-spinning nucleus of iron has 26 protons and 30 neutrons. Then there are vast quantum fields with electrons orbiting in the outer regions. Now, if you spot a small iron meteorite on the ground and pick it up, you are picking up its quantum fields and not necessarily a heavy chunk of iron. It looks to be solid, but that is because the quantum fields of iron doesn't pass the wave energy of light, so it looks to be a dark body of pure metal, but it is not. The vast space that iron creates are its magnetic quantum fields with exclusive spacing intervals. Iron nuclei have been compared to a tennis ball in the center of a football stadium of quantum fields. I am not sure of the accuracy of that speculation, but, in any case, it makes the point of space that magnetism creates, in comparison to the material space of the atomic nucleus. B. Now the irony of this observation: when you pick up or move anything, you are interacting mostly with its quantum fields and not so much with material space. C. Silicon has 28 protons and 14 neutrons. As you know, a glass rod is mostly atomic silicon with atoms that have bonded their individual quantum fields. The quantum fields can stick together because they have matched their intervals and can intertwine. Silicon can also pass light waves, therefore appears to be transparent, not like the iron meteorite. Now something funny about this observation. You can pick up or move both of them. This is because the quantum fields of your fingers don't match the intervals of either the iron meteorite or the glass rod, so they can't merge. They can only repel, thus giving the appearance and pressure of a solid object, but, as you know by now, what you really feel is the power of quantum magnetism and the magnetic force of unique elemental structures. Even though the magnetic quantum fields of both are extremely vast, you are not interacting with solid bodies, you are interacting with elemental magnetic space. Conclusion: the space between an atom nucleus and all of its outer quantum fields is vast, but the perception of a solid body is produced by the magnetic quantum fields pushing power, and its transparency to vibrating light waves. Liquid hydrogen. Compressing and cooling quantum fields. When the influence of gravity and spin energy magnetically compacts hydrogen atoms, they squeeze together and get hotter, the force of dark energy. This puts them on a path to nuclear fusion, but, if you physically lower the temperature, the atoms change their characteristics. Reducing temperature and increasing pressure of hydrogen causes each universal particle of the quantum fields to slow rotation. The pressure produces more potential energy for each particle. Add cooling to the mix, and it causes dark matter particles to slow even more. This in turn reduces magnetism. Now the viscosity of quantum fields has changed, but not enough for magnetic lock to fail. In other words, the whole dynamics of the quantum field structure is different. The hydrogen has become a liquid, but the atomic nucleus is still hydrogen. When you take away the compression, and the hydrogen warms up, XP dark energy, dark matter particles take spin energy from the surrounding area as they equalize, thus adding more spin energy to the outer quantum fields. When the area returns to balance, hydrogen becomes a gas again, and all is back to normal. No matter has changed configuration lock. Extreme cold of quantum fields. Atomic cold, frigid energy. Finally, the effects of extreme cold on quantum fields. If the atom or atoms are subject to extreme cold, dark matter particles of the quantum ring fields will slow spin energy. This causes the particles to lose magnetic strength. With this specific energy loss, the outer fields will start to decay first because they are weaker to begin with. If the spin energy loss is significant, the atom will lose its perimeter fields and will release electrons from their magnetic corridors. TM theory predicts that is how superconductors are created, by freeing up electrons which reside in the outer quantum ring fields. If the cooling is extreme, but magnetic lock is not broken, all universal particles will slow with decreasing magnetism. Cooling force equals less gravity with more space. This in turn decreases spin energy and causes universal particle fluidity. The viscosity of particle interaction has changed, and that creates a new state of matter. Bose-Einstein condensates. So far the magnetism of the atomic core has prevented atomic failure, but, if extreme cold persists, all atoms and magnetic coupling will fail because there is no spin energy. This is highly unlikely in the real universe because targeted cooling is not natural, but in a man-made environment it is theoretically possible. That is why, when you dip a flower in liquid nitrogen, then bang it on the table, it shatters into a million pieces. It's all because of the weakening magnetic energies of outer quantum fields that bind the flower together. The exploration of energy and matter of the extreme cold is exciting and is predicted to have many undiscovered applications. Your host, Richard E. Noer. Young me. Mini me. Email, noerastronomy@gmail.com. Here in a multiverse, our goal is to find the cosmic truth. No matter where, or how far it takes you. The universe truly does unify. If you get the basics right.